Okay, so welcome back to the lunch plenary. Once again, my name is Shamira, and this is my fellow co-host, Dorian. We hope you enjoyed your morning session. Please make your way to your tables with your lunches, or if you're still in line, that is okay. We're just 5 minutes behind, so we'll just continue with the schedule. Our morning co-hosts, Jeremy and Anna, will take over the interview, so if you see anyone with a pink microphone, reach out to them, or they will find you. Wave hi over there, the two, Jeremy and Anna. There they are, over there. Okay, so hey Dorian, how was the morning so far?
I appreciate you, man, appreciate you. My morning was good. Thanks for asking. While I was out interviewing a lot of folks, I heard a lot of good stories and a bunch of interesting things. Somebody guess. Today we have over 400 people here with us today in this space, and we have over 100 people virtual. Give it up for the SCL4E 2024 setting a record attendance. This is incredible. We are a flourishing community, a student-centered learning and leaders. Can I ask all the students in this building to stand up right quick, if that's cool? I know y'all eating and stuff. Now, I want all y'all to stay standing. What about all the educators in the room? Can I have y'all, you know what I'm saying, wave y'all hands?
Shout out to the educators! Woo!
To all the students standing, please show your appreciation by the round of applause to all the teachers in the room. On the behalf of everybody in the world, happy Teacher Appreciation Week. Round of applause to all the teachers. Can I get a show of hands for all the elders?
Where the elders at?
Where the elders?
Yeah.
All the students, look around, see all these educators and elders here. They are here for you. Let's give these people a round of applause again.
As you all continue to settle, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Jessie Taken Alive Rain Counter. Jessie Taken Alive Rain Counter is a Hunkpapa Lakota from Standing Rock Sioux tribe. She has worked as a school counselor serving hundreds of students for 15 years. She was named the Great Plains Emerging Tribal Writer Award winner for her first children's book, Petsu Masun the Light. Using Lakota culture teaching and school counselor lenses, she has published 5 children's books. Give it up for that alone. 5 children's books. Woo! She is passionate about helping people remember their importance in life and to use their unique talents to create a better community for future generations to come. It is my honor to welcome our conference keynote speaker, Jessie Taken Alive Rain Counter. Give it up.
Ambete washte, chante washte na pechu zapi, wichachpi tumpuina, Jessie Taken Alive Rain Counter imachiapi, hunk papa Lakota imataha. What I said to you today in my Lakota language was good day, relatives. I greet you all with a heartfelt handshake. My Lakota name is Wichachpi Tumpiwi, which means woman who was born from the stars. My English name is Jessie. My maiden last name is Taken Alive, and my married last name is Rencounter. I come to you from the band of Lakota called the Hunkpapa Lakota. Some of you may have remembered the name Sitting Bull. That is a band of Lakota that Sitting Bull has led. I grew up in the Standing Rock Reservation all my life, and I make my home in Rapid City, South Dakota with my husband, and we have 4 beautiful daughters. For 15 years, I have worked and served as a school counselor, 10 years with elementary students and 5 years with high school students. And amongst those years, I, utilize storytelling in the classrooms with elementary and high school students. One thing that I looked for and searched for was contemporary stories about our people, that children and students can see themselves represented in these stories. And I had a very difficult time finding any stories that based our stories off contemporary versions of who we are, not people of the past, but people of today. I could not find them. And so after utilizing storytelling in the classroom, a lot of educator friends and students as well asked me to make some of my stories into books. Not knowing anything about the publishing process, I went with hybrid publishing and also being a self-published author as well. The book that I'm going to read today to you is called Thunder's Hair. Now, Thunder's Hair is based off of a main character, a native boy who has long hair. And as you see, if you ever get to meet some of our native boys, native young men, some of them have long hair. In Rapid City, some of the students that I worked with struggled with the difficult and challenging times with bullying situations where they would get teased, taunted for having long hair and such. And so even though they would come in my office and in my classrooms telling me, and I would help to try to empower them to remember not only the power of their hair, but the power of being unique as an Indigenous student, they would go back into the classrooms, onto the playgrounds, into the PE and lunchrooms, and still continue to have this happening. And so I thought, what if I write a story that not only shares the history and the teachings of our hair as Indigenous peoples, but also throw a school counselor mix in there and share about the empowering of being able to stick up for each other as peers, being able to help and understand each other, and not only that, celebrate our unique diversity as students. So with that, I'm going to read my book, Thunder's Hair. Everything that is in this story is based off true events that I've heard from students that I've worked with, or either the moms of the students that have had these situations happen to them. All right, we will get started. It's called Thunder's Hair. The sun was rising with a beautiful pink glow and began to show life to the east. Thunder's mom set a stool facing the window to the east, just like she did every morning. It was their morning ritual that started their day. She combed Thunder's hair and quietly sang a morning song as Thunder sat rubbing his eyes to wake up. Son, what are your hopes for the day? Thunder yawned. I hope that I pass my spelling test and kids are nice to me. Thunder's mom continued to braid and said, what do you mean you hope they are nice? Thunder sighed. Oh, just sometimes I can say things that upset me. Thunder's mom grew quiet as she watched the sun light up the sky. She said, sometimes when others are mean, it's because they are hurting inside and forget who they are when they were born. Just smile at them and walk away. If it continues, you can always get help from a teacher. Continue to lead by example and show others how to be kind. His mom continued to braid his hair, placing the 3 strands, one over the other and sliding over her fingers. It always seemed like she was putting her wishes into each strand as she gently braided. When she was done, she put the elastic at the bottom of the braid and kissed him on the forehead. She said, son, I hope you have a great day today. Don't forget to ask for good things and wisdom when you leave the house. The morning went by quickly, and Thunder's spelling test wasn't so bad after all. The morning recess bell rang, and he welcomed the fresh air as he walked out to the courtyard. Just then, he saw 2 boys running towards him. Hey, Thunder, where's your dress? Only girls have long hair. Both boys laughed as one of the boys started to dance around and pretend to sing a powwow song as he hit his hand against his mouth, portraying an old Hollywood Indian. Thunder shook his head in disbelief and walked the other way. Just then, one of the boys came running behind him and pulled on his hair. He snarled and said, you know, I can give you a haircut when we get back inside. I'll help you understand what it's like to be a boy and live in today's world. Thunder felt his face getting hot and clenched his fist. He was just about to push the other kid when he remembered the words of his grandpa. We become the lesser version of ourselves when we solve our problems with our fists. Instead, he took a deep breath and pulled his long braid into a sweater and turned away. Kea came running quickly. She hollered, hey, leave him alone. Quit being a bully. The boys ran away laughing as if they had accomplished something big. Kea glared at them as they ran away and said, yeah, keep running, you big bullies. She turned her attention to Thunder and quietly asked, are you okay? You know, it's okay to tell the teacher and let her know what they say. Thunder shook his head and said, no, they'll think I'm tattling. Kea said, there's a difference between reporting something when someone is being hurtful to another compared to tattling just to get someone in trouble. If you let them go, they will continue to say things to you, and even pick on others. If you won't tell, I will. Kaya must have kept her promise because by the afternoon, Thunder was sitting in the principal's office being questioned about the incident that morning. Even though he did not want to tell, he shared as many bullying events as he could remember. The car ride home that day seemed a long and quiet one as his mom's eyes swelled with tears. I wish you would have told me about the disrespectful remarks of your long hair earlier, son. We could have put a stop to this when it started happening. Thunder looked out the window, watching the trees and houses pass by. He sighed and mumbled, "What's the use? If we get them to stop, it will be another kid next year. It's just best that I cut my hair so nobody has anything to say. My life would be so much easier with short hair." When they pulled into the driveway, Thunder grabbed his backpack and walked toward the front door. His head hung low, feeling hopeless and defeated. He turned to look at his mom and saw her wiping her tears. "This has caused me a lot of pain. And now you too? If you will not cut my braid, I will cut it off myself this evening," Thunder said sadly. He threw himself in his bed and stared at his posters hanging on the wall. All of these superheroes have short hair. None of them have long hair look like me, he thought. Just then, there was a knock on his bedroom door. His grandma peeked in with her usual gentle smile. "Grandson, will you help me carry the wood for the sweat lodge?" Thunder would never tell his grandmother no, so he happily went out to help. As he carried and placed the logs just right in the fireplace, Grandma asked him to join her as she watched and listened to the crackling fire. "Our ceremonies have been around for many years now, grandson. They've helped our people through so many hardships. I've seen a lot of changes over the years since I was a young girl, many years ago. My grandma would tell me about what it meant to be a warrior. She said that a warrior is not someone who just protects other people. They also protect their own spirit. When others try to make us feel bad for who we are, warriors stand strong and proud, continuing to be who they were born to be." Grandma took her hair clip out of her silver hair, let it out, and started to braid it. "Our people have always known the power of our hair. These teachings have been passed down for thousands of years. We say that our hair has a special part of us in it, our spirit. It is our connection to the ancestors before us and to the spirit world. When we wear it long, it helps us in this physical world that can be confusing at times." Grandma continued to braid her hair. She said, "Each of these three parts represents the three parts of us, our mind, body, and spirit. This is why we take care of our hair and why our people continue to wear our hair long. If we cut it, we lose that special connection." Thunder suddenly felt a sense of pride in his long braid as he stared into the fire. He could not believe he had thoughts of cutting his hair earlier. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. The next morning, Thunder asked his mom to braid his hair into 2 braids. He closed his eyes and envisioned past warriors with their hair in braids and paint on their face. He also imagined his strong lawyer uncle and his long braids. When it was time to walk into school, Thunder walked with a sense of pride, like a modern-day warrior. He knew that he carried with him the strength of warriors of the past and today. As he walked, he saw the 2 boys and could hear the whispers and even giggles around them. This time, he did not hang his head. Rather, he walked proudly over to the boys and said, "I was born with this brown skin. This is who I was meant to be. I am proud of who I am because I carry the strength of many warriors with me. You will never make me feel bad for who I am and how I choose to wear my hair. There is strength in accepting others who are different than us. I hope that someday you will learn this too." Thunder turned away and started walking toward the door of the school. He could imagine the sound of the drumbeat in his head as he stepped with confidence. Each stride he took made him imagine past warriors walking where his feet touched the ground. He stood tall and smiled as he saw his reflection in the window of a young warrior staring back at him. The end. You know, I wrote this story in 2020 when everything was slower and I thought it's time for me to write my book and get started on some of these stories. I didn't know that it was going to travel and have an impact as much as it did in the many communities throughout the United States and Canada, not just only Indigenous communities, but non-Indigenous communities as well too. And I get messages. In fact, I just got a message yesterday morning from a mother in Wisconsin, and I want to read what she had shared, because this book is not only meant for Indigenous students, it's meant for every student. It's meant for all ages to remind us about embracing the power and the uniqueness and diversity of everybody. For me, the teachings that I have grown up with has really shaped my life, and I've been able to share these teachings with the students that I've worked with for the past 15 years. You know, one of the teachings is that all of us come from one creator, that we're all born into this physical world with beauty and gifts. And as babies, all of us, we only know love. We don't know hate. We don't know discrimination. We don't know selfishness. This is something that is taught as we grow older. We start to forget this because we see this role modeled around us in society, and we start to forget these teachings that we're all born with. And so I remind children of this all the time. In fact, in our Lakota culture, our word for children is wakayaja. Waka means sacred. Wakayaja means the sacred beings. We call them this because of where they just came from. They're born into this world already knowing that all of us are relatives. The saying in our Lakota language, an ancient teaching saying and even used as a prayer in itself today, is we say, Midako ye awase, which means we are all relatives. We're all connected and we are one. It doesn't matter the color of our skin, the language we speak, our culture, or where we even live in the world. We all come from that same creator, and that makes us relatives. And so I made these books to remind children, because we're all born with this, but to remind them at a young age to try to carry these teachings with them. I received a message yesterday morning from a mother in Wisconsin. She found me on social media, and she wanted to share her experience. And she says, "Good morning, Jessie. I just wanted to share an email I received from my son's school regarding your book. My son had a terrible last few weeks with his long hair. He was being bullied to the point he was in tears and was adamant about cutting his beautiful hair. He is only 7. Your book has inspired him and mended his heart. It also inspired non-Indigenous children on how to treat others and some history behind our long hair. I really want to thank you for creating a beautiful story. Yako Jennifer, Oneida, Wisconsin." And she shared the email that her son's teacher shared with her. And she says, "We just got done reading the book. It was fantastic, and I plan to ask our principal if we can get a few copies to keep in our library. It did a wonderful job teaching problem solving and how to treat others. I talked with Dalen, and he said it was someone at recess and that not from our classroom. We talked about how if this happens again to let me know right away. The class also said if they see this happen, they will stick up for Dalen, just like the girl in the book did. I appreciate you letting us borrow it and bringing this to my attention. We love Dalen so much and will always keep him safe." This brought tears to my eyes because I didn't know 4 years ago writing this book, when I was in tears and not knowing how to format a self-publishing book, how this would impact students that I may not ever meet, and how this would remind children on how to treat each other like a good relative and such. And, you know, I do have 4 other books out. One mentioned in the introduction called Peta Shows Me Through the Light, that shows and teaches us and reminds us of why people do hurtful things in the world, but more importantly, what we can do as individuals to make our world become a better place. A simple, small, early educators, one called We Are All Related, Midako Ye Awase, the reminder that we are all relatives. Rainbows in December to help school counselors and such have those difficult conversations when someone is mourning and grieving a loved one who's passed away. And my most recent one, PETA, shows Kea energy to help students who are going through difficulties challenging their days when they struggle with anxiety and such. So, but with that, my relatives, I want to say thank you. In my language, we say pilamaye, or even a big thank you, we say wopila, for doing the work that you do every day with students, changing the next generation of leaders in our world, and happy appreciation, Teacher Appreciation Week to all of our educators. So with that, my relatives, and I closing, I'll say midakoye owase. Thank you.
Once again, thank you, Ms. Jessie. This story is a great example of strength and assets in our community across all generations. Strength in this story comes from both elder and from youth. Please give her another round of applause. And just so you know, Ms. Jessie will be selling these amazing books at a table towards the back. Thank you.
Okay, so we just got a message from Minnesota Department of Education, so I'd just like to read it to you because it's an amazing opportunity happening here today. I wanted to let you all know an opportunity down on the 8th floor outside the breakout rooms to talk with folks from our Minnesota Education Department. They received a federal grant to update our data collection system, which is currently designed for traditional education. They are looking for people interested in participating in a learning cohort to help define student success in learning-centered education and the metrics to measure it. Give them a visit down on the 8th floor. This is an amazing opportunity to get a part of something that can impact a lot of youth. Thank you. And thank you, Ms. Jessie, because that was so beautiful. Today's lunch plenary invites SCL4E community to continue this conversation together. We get to directly hear from 3 schools from this morning's video as they share the ideas sparked by the short video this morning and Ms. Jessie's fantastic book. As they make their way to the stage, I'd like to introduce today's panel monitor, none other than the local legend herself, Angela Davis, to the stage.
Okay, I think, hey everybody, keep on eating, enjoy your lunch. We're gonna make some adjustments to the stage. Do we wanna invite the students and educators who are gonna be on stage with me to come on up and take your places? Hey. I'm so excited about these books. I'm so happy to hear that they're gonna be sold. Again, it's just such an honor to be here in a room with so many people who care about education. If you listen to my talk show regularly, you may know that education, mental health, relationships, human connection, those are issues that I care about very deeply. So it's just a privilege for me to be able to host a talk show where we can talk about all of those things every day. And my show is on at 9 o'clock in the morning when most of you are in school. But fortunately, it's a podcast also. So if you're interested in hearing about some of the conversations that we have on a statewide and regional level about education and young people and old people and all kinds of things, please check out NPR News with Angela Davis, the podcast. And as we like to say, listen when it's convenient for you. So again, hello, and thank you for inviting me to be a part of your event today. Education has been such a key part of my life. I grew up in Southern Virginia. My grandmother taught me how to read when I was about 3 or 4 years old. So I had the advantage of starting kindergarten on a really great note. But there were obviously challenges throughout school, but it's because I had relatives and I had teachers who held my hand and really guided me and encouraged me that I was able to make a dream come true of being a journalist, which was something unusual when you grow up in like rural Southern Virginia and you're like, I want to be on TV. But it came true because of that commitment to education that so many adults in my life had. So again, I just want to say thank you to all the educators who are here. Happy Teachers Appreciation Week. Congratulations to you. Give yourselves a round of applause, all the educators. And to the students who are here, congratulations for getting time out of class. So, all right, so I haven't met you guys here, but I'm going to introduce you. So as I introduce you, wave at me so I know who's who, okay? Because we all just got here. I'm going to have a seat. All right, and can everybody, those of you in the back, can you hear me okay? Can you hear? All right, good. So let's be sure that we use our big voices so everybody can hear. And I'm going to scoot up a little bit, too, so I can see everybody's face. Okay. All righty. So with me on the stage, as you have heard, we have members from each of the 3 schools who hosted those amazing community events that we saw in the video. Many of you saw in the video this morning. I had a chance to look at it last night. So from Sage Academy in Brooklyn Park, please wave at me. Where's Sage? Okay, you're right here next to me. Sage Academy in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. We have Director Kariana Luna. Kariana. Okay, wave to everybody. That's Kariana. And 9th grade student Sky Ling. 9th grader. Lang. Sky Ling. Nice to meet you, Sky. All right. And we also have from Lakota Tech High School in Pine Ridge, South Dakota. Wave at me. There in the middle. We have social studies teacher and student council lead Marlon Kingi. Hello, Marlon. And 10th grader Marcel Swallow. Hello. They're in the middle. Nice to have you. Glad to have you here with us in the Twin Cities. And yes, let's have some applause. Traveling. Yeah. Thank you for being here. And there on the end, we have from Spring Grove School in Spring Grove, Minnesota, Principal Luke Chellin. Yes, Principal Luke, and Senior Ellie Halverson. Hi, Ellie. Hello. You're graduating soon? All right, you're going to tell all the business, aren't you, right? You're getting ready to be done. You could just say it today. All right. All right, so 3 schools represented here, and I want to begin actually by talking with the adults here, and I'd love for each of you to tell us a little bit about your school, tell us about the grade levels, the community, and I'll begin with you, Kariana. Tell us about Sage Academy there in Brooklyn Park.
Sure. Sage Academy is a small charter high school in Brooklyn Park, so we serve the Northwest Metro area. I'm going to grab it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Do you want them to hold the mic?
Right into it? Okay.
There we go.
So if you didn't hear that, Brooklyn Park is, Sage Academy is in Brooklyn Park. We serve the Northwest Metro. We're a really small charter high school. We have about 80 students right now. We purposely do that because we really want to build those relationships with our students. We have students coming in with all sorts of different needs and supports that they need. It's the kids that aren't successful in those traditional schools or have been overlooked or not heard. And we're about 80% BIPOC, 10% ELL, 45% special ed, 10% in 504s. So we have a really kind of diverse group that we work with. And our focus is on project-based learning and community service. So that's kind of who we are.
All right. And tell me the grade level again.
9th through 12th.
Okay, a high school. Marlon, how would you describe Lakota Tech High School there in Pine Ridge, South Dakota?
I'm Petru Washte. Yes, we are about a 9-hour drive from here, and so we brought 7 students with us today. I wish I could have all of them stand up here, So a little bit about our high school. We're a public school on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. We're the first public school. The other schools are either federally funded. There's a Catholic school there. There's about 400 students in our high school. A good 95% of them are Oglala Lakota from the community. And we're actually a CTE high school, a career technical education high school. And from my understanding, we're the first CTE high school in the whole country that's located on an Indian reservation. And just... Thank you.
Thank you. And Luke, what can you tell us about Spring Grove School?
We are not a 9-hour drive from here. We're about a 2-hour and 45-minute drive, but closer to 3 hours and 10 minutes with traffic, I guess, this morning. So we are in the southeast corner of Minnesota. The closest big city to us, I suppose, would be La Crosse, Wisconsin. I like to tell people when they ask where Spring Grove is, I tell them it's a good golf shot to Iowa. So we're right on the border. And our unique to here, our building is actually pre-K through 12th grade, all in one room, or all in one building, not room. That would be chaos. So we have about 375 pre-K through 12th graders. And one of the teams, this would be my 4th year in Spring Grove, and Gina Morkin, who is also here, kind of brought this idea of a student-centered network team to Spring Grove, and when I transitioned into it, we kind of took it over and have been fortunate enough to have some great leadership from our kids in that group, and are excited to be here as we learn more about where our next directions go and collecting data from our community night. So thank you.
All right. Thank you for describing your schools to us. And now I want to hear from the students, and I want to know, in your experience, what is special or unique about your school? And Ellie, I'm going to start with you. We just heard from your principal there. You're a senior. What do you think has made your school special, or how do you think it's unique in some ways?
I think a really unique thing for our school would be the size and the fact that we have the pre-K through 12 all in the same building. It gives us a really good opportunity to work with the younger kids and the older kids doing things all together. It's really rare that you see that. I mean, not in our area, but in big cities like this. So, yeah, I feel like having that reach where, like, right now, the college literature class goes down and we have reading buddies with the pre-K and kindergarten. So we're all assigned a kindergartner to read to, and it's very sweet.
It sounds like a family atmosphere, or it could be.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, everyone knows everyone, which is, good and bad. But with that, like, it's a very welcoming environment, I feel like, and very nice, like, tight-knit community.
Thank you. Marcel, you're a 10th grader there at Lakota Tech. What do you think makes your school stand out from others?
For Lakota Tech, as Marlon said, it is a CTE high school, so we get to choose our career paths in which we want to choose. I'm currently in a medical career path where during my senior year, I plan on becoming a CNA, being trained into a CNA, and at Lakota Tech, you're able to choose the career path you want to choose, from healthcare to construction to any other career path you like.
And do students already have an idea of what they might like?
So when I first went in, I chose law and public safety, and I was exposed to more classes while I was at the school, and they give you a variety of options, and I believe that the teacher from the medical career path is just a wonderful person, and she really helps.
I love that. Thank you. And Sky, you're a 9th grader. You're a freshman.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so tell us about Sage Academy in Brooklyn Park.
So Sage is a project-based school, which means a lot of different things, meaning that for some classes, instead of having one big test for the end of the year or whatever, we have a project, which personally I think is amazing because it's a lot less pressure and a lot of other things. And I think it honestly takes a lot of pressure off of a lot of the students' shoulders. And I think that our school is very welcoming with everyone.
Now, what I remember about projects, and what I hear now from my kids who are college students, that projects can be difficult because you don't always have the same level of participation from everybody in a group. Have you struggled with that?
Actually, most of the projects are personal projects.
So it's
like,
one-on-one?
for instance, instead of you having an entire health class, we have health projects instead, where we have this free period, we get to work on those projects, and you can ask others for help if they know a lot about the subjects that you're doing, and yeah.
I like that. So not group projects, but individuals. So
Yes.
you can kind of set the pace. And I like
Yes.
that. School has changed a lot. I graduated, can I tell you what year I graduated from high school? I don't want to scare you. 1986. So I love opportunities to learn about what's happening in schools now. Thank you so much for that. So at this event, we're using the phrase student-centered. And what we mean by that is schools that honor students for who they are and work in partnership with community to help students get to where they want to go. But shouldn't that be a given? You know, what does it mean for a school to be student-centered? And what does it look like when a school is not student-centered? What can you tell us about what you've seen, Kariana?
I think student-centered is really about the students having voice and choice and having agency in what they're learning and how they're learning it and how they're demonstrating that learning. It breaks away from that traditional model of, we're in a class, we get a lecture, we do a paper assignment, and we take a test.
That's what I had.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we don't do. We move away from that and give students more of an opportunity to learn like real life skills, to learn, research, to critically think, to problem solve, and to communicate. We really, focus on self-advocacy and those life skills that are needed. So.
But as the student body changes over the years, does that change? Does that you have to be sort of flexible?
Oh yeah, we've definitely gone through changes. I've been with the school now 15 years, 6 years as the director now, and we've definitely had to adapt. Especially after COVID, I think every school had to, figure out some things as we got new students. But that's kind of the beauty of doing it this way is that you can bring in all the teachers and the staff and the students and the parents and talk about what do our students need? What do we need to change? What can we keep? And, what can we improve upon? And that's really important to include everybody in that conversation.
And Marlon, for those of us who are not familiar with student-centered, what does that mean to you and what does it look like at your school?
One thing interesting about our high school is we are a newer high school. We were born in 2020 during the COVID, so I like the theme of this conference or the sponsor, Education Evolving. Being a new school, we're learning as we're going. One good thing about our school is our administrative team are all Lakota. Our support staff are all Lakota, and a good amount of our teachers are all Lakota from the community, and that was different when I graduated high school in the year 2000. So what Student Center looks like for us is our principal and our superintendent gives us a lot of freedom and independence to do what our students want to do. And I have amazing students. Whenever we have an assembly, they get up there, they MC the assembly in front of 400 pairs, not an easy job. We hosted a big community event with 17 other high schools, and we were the lead. Our students took the lead. They planned it for 2 days, and that's just a little testament of little things that our principal and our administrative allows us to do. So our students wanted to come to this conference, and our superintendent, our school board sees a lot of the things they're doing in the community. They're raising money, they're spending their money to do community feeds. We have a big homeless population in Pine Ridge, South Dakota, and they're doing a lot for the community. So I think the administrative trust the students because they have such big hearts and they're amazing leaders. So that's what I think about when I hear student-centered.
Luke, you're a principal. What have you seen in terms of, what sets apart a school that is student-centered and one that is maybe more traditional?
Yeah, so I would agree with everything you brought up too, and student agency. For our student-centered team, kind of started as a way of just maybe let's attack some of the things that we feel as injustices, for lack of a better term here, or rules that we think don't work for students or things like that. And then has evolved into kind of and it was brought up earlier, we're all in this together, not only in the school, but in the community too. So we all have an obligation to do what's right for our kids and hear what they need, because really in communities, especially small town, rural communities like Spring Grove, the kids are the most precious commodity we have, right? So that kind of went for our community engagement night that we did. It's our stepping stone into building, what is best for kids? How are the kids? How can we work together? And then listen to the kids' voices who have really valuable opinions and really know what it's like to be them better than we do, right? I think as far as things that we see as not student-centered that we still move away from, and it's slower than you'd like sometimes, but it's also the process. The beauty's in the process of getting there is we fight just like anybody else, maybe some of those traditional stereotypes in education, where, I've done this for 30 years. I know what I'm doing. You just listen to me and you'll be fine. And in some instances, and in fact, almost all instances, that's coming from a great place, from a person who really cares about kids. And if they took that time to sit down and listen to some ideas that kids have, we'd all get there a little bit quicker. But I think for us, it's all about community, building community, and involving all the voices in our community, including students.
And being open to change, because there seems to be agreement, like some things have got to change, right? All right, so let's talk with our students. We've talked about or mentioned these community events, these cross-generational events that were held this spring. I'm thinking about getting people of all different ages in one room and trying to have a conversation. And students, you all were put in leadership positions for arranging these, holding these meetings from the beginning. And what was it like for you to represent your school, work with your school leadership, and then folks outside of the school and the community in this way? Marcel, as you look back, what was that like putting together your community event, and what do you think you learned from it?
So, as our team, when we were planning our community event, we were really looking forward to involving the elder generation and the younger generation, because we feel...
What's the elder? I just want to know if I'm an elder or not. Just so, is there a number attached to elder?
I guess it all depends on what the person...
How they see
describe
themselves.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry. I just had to clear that up. How you identify. All right. I like elder. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And we were really looking forward to seeing how every generation thought about certain topics, how we had similar questions like how are the children, how are the elders. So when we got engagement from every single generation, it was very fulfilling. It took a lot to plan. We all put in work. We all did our part, and in the end, it worked out really well, and we had around 100 participants. I spoke also.
What did the elders say? Did the elders say that they were worried about you? What did they say?
A lot of the elders were concerned for our younger generation. They seemed like we were a bad generation, I would feel like. So from a lot of the responses...
bad like naughty?
Like, not bad, but I would say not as excelled. I wouldn't, I don't know how to describe it. A lot of our elders wanted to help us, give us guidance. A lot of the responses were mixed, how we were striving or we were the future and how we are failing, and how a lot of us struggle with a lot of problems with mental health and drugs. And
did you sense they were sort of feeling sorry for you all?
I wouldn't say they were feeling sorry, but I feel like they felt, I guess, a sense of, how would you say it? A sense of...
maybe urgency to help?
Urgency, right. Yeah, a sense of urgency. Because all of our older generations were calling us their future. We are the future, we are the younger generation, and we do hold a lot for our future.
How do you think your fellow students, how do you see yourselves?
I see us as diverse. I think a lot of older or mentors of ours see us as a rowdy bunch. You know, this generation is, we're mixed. I know a lot of people want to seek the future and a lot of people want to reclaim the past. So having all this diversity, it really helps, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Ellie, how would you describe what it was like being in a leadership position, students trying to pull together these community events and have these conversations? What was that like for you?
I really enjoyed pulling people from the community in because it gave us a chance to hear voices that you might not normally hear. Our event turned out a lot smaller than 100 people, but it was nice, honestly, at the same time, because it was a lot more intimate. We got to go a lot more in depth with people about things. I feel like we had a very similar experience where we tweaked the questions a bit, but we used the same questions. We made them a little more concise, but we changed them slightly. And when we asked the first question, how are the children, the adults responded the way we would expect them to. Oh, they're naughty, and they're bratty, and they're spoiled. And then it was nice to be able to kind of come back at that and say, but weren't you the same way when you were our age? And it was really nice to be able to have that open conversation of, well, why do you feel that way? Well, what can we do differently? And yeah, it went really well. And it was also, the other thing was, there were some people that showed up that, I mean, they have prominent voices in the community, and you kind of already know how they feel about things because they talk really loudly about it. And I was surprised to find myself agreeing with these people on some things as well. So it was nice. We had some like arguments that were, nice arguments, and then we had some like, we all really came together in the end to agree on some things. So that was really kind of inspiring as well.
Did it make you nervous to maybe challenge an elder?
Slightly.
But the environment was like, no, this is what it's for, right?
Right. And yeah, it made me a little nervous because I know that they don't like being challenged and they don't like when you ask questions. But it was nice to have this open space to feel comfortable doing that. And be given that opportunity.
Wonderful. I don't think young people or teenagers are naughty. I think you've been through some things. I think you've seen some things. I think of you as being probably mature. And Sky, you're a freshman, correct?
Yes, I am.
So tell me about what it was like for you in a leadership position as a student, pulling these elders, let's bring them in, let's talk. How was that?
For me, it was a lot of fun. Me, personally, I grew up in the foster system for a bit, and I had a leadership role with my little brother, and that was taken away from me, and after a bit, and I started getting a leadership role back, it kind of helped me a lot find my true self. And I do love leading people, and the conversations that day helped me, and I think a lot of our staff in our school figure out what we needed to do to help our school be better.
And I'm thinking after an event like that, do you come back to school? Do you walk and talk a little bit differently? Because like you did that. Did it boost your confidence to some degree?
Not really. Anxiety is anxiety. I mean.
But was it uncomfortable, like when there were, disagreements or differences of opinion? Because, as an elder, I'll claim it, I can only rely on my lived experience. I walk into a school this day, and I am 12, or I am, I'm 15, and so I know the way it was, like, student-centered. That means you sit in the middle. It doesn't. Yeah. What is student-centered? I mean, so we need these conversations to let people know, like, this is today what school is like.
Yeah. They really try to focus on the students, their mental health, and what's wrong. And I think one of the best parts about it being such a small school is that they realize when your grades are dropping or something like that because something is happening around you, and they will be like, hey, you're not doing very well. Is there something going on at home or whatever? And they will help you so that you can be a better person for the future, or just so that you can get into that dream college like Harvard or Yale or whatever.
And be willing to communicate, like, yeah, things are not okay, but it's okay to talk about it.
Yes.
Right. And at school. All right, so let's look at some of the, thank you, students, at some of the individual schools. So a question for the SAGE team, SAGE Academy, Kariana. You all have tackled the issue of student behavior and safety in school. And this is of interest locally, statewide, nationally, student behavior and safety in school, a topic we're hearing a lot about in the news, particularly since the pandemic. And in a recent Ed Week survey, nearly 70% of educators reported more or a lot more student behavioral issues since before the pandemic. So, Kariana, can you share some of the solutions or ideas that you've worked on, based on this, student community involvement that might be helpful?
Yeah. I think all those who are working in a school have seen kind of the changes in student behaviors and the challenges that have come up. And so a couple things that we did is restorative practices is something that we've always kind of done, but we really have made it important that all of our staff are trained in it and know how to use it, and we're using it on a daily basis, that we're using it.
Could you define restorative practice? For those of us who are not educators,
For sure.
remind us what that means.
Restorative practices is a practice of when you bring people together to share their experience or how they felt about something, and to give them an opportunity for everybody to listen to those different perspectives and trying to find kind of a solution or a way to move forward. Typically used for with conflicts. We've used it if there's a bullying situation, it brings students together. If there's teacher and a student just aren't clicking, what can we do to make this? Well, we use it when events happen in the community. So when George Floyd that happened, let's do circles in our advisory. Let's bring this together. How can we heal as a community to talk about this? But then we also we do a lot of circles around just story circles to get to know each other, or circles to know do we understand the topic? So just having those practices all the time so students are talking to each other, sharing with each other, learning from each other, I think is really important.
Because often in conflict, let's just say there's a fight, there's never an opportunity to bring those two people back together and what were y'all fighting about? Do you even remember? Does that happen?
Oh yeah, all the time. I'll let Sky join this because it does happen all the time. And usually when we finally bring them together in that, they're like, oh, but this person told me this, that this person said this. And they're like, yeah, that never happens, And usually oh, we started a fight about something really stupid. And so it really gives us the opportunity to do that.
You've seen this happen, Sky, yes?
I've seen it happen multiple times. Every once in a while, they will see this kind of evolving and they'll pull them aside. And at Sage Academy, they really value children's safety. So if a fight even starts, everyone is locked in a different room or whatever so that nobody else can get hurt or anything like that, which I think is really amazing because most of the time at other schools, there's about 100 kids.
You move in
there.
to see the fight. Right?
Yeah, you're trying to see the fight. You're like, fight, as loud as you can.
That's what I remember, unfortunately. Yeah. Right.
So do I before I got to Sage. But they really value the kids' safety and everything along the lines of that. And I honestly love that about the school. And if they see the problem evolving before it can happen, before the fight, they pull the people aside and they are like, hey, what's going on here? Can you explain? And that has happened multiple times where you will see someone about to go off on someone else, and Kariana or a different supervisor or something along the lines of that at our school will pull that person aside and be like, hey, let's talk this through. Let's go to my office. Let's go somewhere else, and we will talk this through with the other person. But first, I want to hear it from you.
So there's a culture of intervention.
Yes.
Even among the students?
Yes.
Yeah, this is great. Lakota, let's talk about what's happening at Lakota Tech in Pine Ridge. You all talked about the importance of honoring elders and language reclamation, an important issue that we see across our region. In Hennepin County, for example, where this event is being held, 26% of students have a home or a community language other than English. And research shows that heritage language learning promotes parental and community involvement, builds positive identity and belonging, and improves overall academic achievement and can help cultivate skills that employers are looking for. So many of our communities here are striving to honor their languages and histories while also preparing for the future. And so Marcel and Marlon, can you talk about programs or projects that you're working on at Lakota Tech to work with elders on or to work on language reclamation?
Yes, I do want to acknowledge we are near a school. There is a school in our community called Mapialuta, and they were here last year, Red Cloud Indian School. And they're doing an amazing job, want to acknowledge that. But we're doing a great job at our school also. We try deeply to incorporate the wisdom of the elders, and what that looks like is lending their voice to the way our school is run and events. For example, we bring in this gentleman named Chris Eaglehawk to facilitate and to oversee the crowning point of our high school experience, our graduation. And for me, being gone from from Pine Ridge community for 20 years and coming back. It's an amazing event. We have our teepee set up. As you see, some of our students today, they're wearing ribbon shirts, ribbon skirts, and even our morning announcements, we started out today with a prayer song, and that doesn't look any different than the way we start out our school. So to be honest with you, the gentleman said it earlier, we cannot separate our culture, our language from the Creator, from Tonkashila. So we did it today, and so even at a lot of our events, Zania, he offers a prayer, and we have young women who will sing a prayer song. And so the elders and this emphasis on this relationship, if you go to any tribal community in the country, most of their songs, most of their dances are a reflection of their commitment or their communication with the Creator and with Tonkashila. So circling back to our administrative team and 95% of our students being Lakota, there is this strong connection with our ancestors, with Creator, and that informs a lot of events and a lot of the decisions our administrators make. In most of our classrooms, we bring sage around to start out class to set the tone. And so to answer in a nutshell, we are deeply connected with the elders in our community, and more so with our ancestral teachings of praying to Creator and offering songs to Creator.
And Marcel, as a student, what have you seen? What's the value of reclaiming language, honoring rituals, and making that part of regular school activities?
From my personal view, and from what I've seen among other students, is language and our culture can be very important to some of us. A lot of us take pride in learning about our language, learning where they come from, learning about our heritage, and speaking our own language. We have classes to speak our language, but I think a problem that I see a lot among students my age is students are rejecting their own culture. I know a lot of students don't like learning Lakota or don't like learning about their own cultural heritage, and I think that's a big challenge to overcome in language reclamation in our school. I think we have to involve our students more and give them more opportunities or experiences to learn Lakota, because I know some students don't like learning traditionally and don't like being taught traditionally. I'm certainly like that. I don't really I have to have a good teacher, otherwise I feel I can't learn well. And I know for a lot of students on the reservation that they don't value teachers. They don't value learning. I know recently our freshman class has been bad.
That's not your class. You're not a freshman.
Oh, no.
The younger ones, not your class. What do you
older.
mean? What's this that we're bad? What are they doing?
I wouldn't. Wait, what?
Well, you said the freshman class, that they are not doing so good. So what are they doing?
Okay, so, in the freshman class, a lot of them are falling behind academically. A lot of them just don't show up to class, don't show up to school in general. I know recently a lot of them were put onto attendance contracts because students, I don't know, I can't personally give you a reason why they don't come to school, but from what I see is a lot of students just don't have the thrill or the drive to come to school every day, and I think that's
happening nationwide, all kinds of schools. Absolutely. They don't want to leave home. They don't want to get up. But I have a question. What is a good teacher? You said you have to have a good teacher. What's a good teacher?
A good teacher to me this is something I'm really passionate about, and I think a lot of teachers should focus on being a good teacher to their students. For me, personally, a teacher that cares about my own well-being and cares about my education every day, who strives for me to be better and who strives for me to work hard and make it successful in life. I feel like a lot of teachers lack that. They're more focused on everyone. I think a good teacher solely focuses on the student itself and
so the difference is today we're going to learn about, you know, the history of paint. To today I'm checking in with you, Marcel, like seeing you as an individual rather than like this is what's on the schedule.
Absolutely.
And this is a little thing because this is important to me. Is it something as simple as eye contact and like literally like seeing you, like looking at you and communicating you in a way that you know that they know you?
Absolutely. A smile a day can change your day, simply. If a teacher can just give you a smile, give you a good morning, welcome to class, I think that a lot of students can, I guess, get on a personal level with their teachers, and I think that they will enjoy coming to class more and enjoy coming to school and enjoy learning about their future and culture.
Because they may be like, I am not interested in this, but Miss Jones over there trying. So let me at least pay attention, because I can tell she's trying.
Absolutely.
Because you pick up on that, don't you?
Absolutely. Right? When I see a teacher trying to truly teach you and truly guide you in life, it genuinely makes me want to work. I feel that if I'm slacking, I'm letting down my teacher themselves, and I know how much work they put in throughout the day dealing with so much other students, and seeing that they treat me and every other student like that, it makes me feel like I should be focusing on my education also.
Because you can tell like, she didn't want to get up this morning, come either. But she came, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right? So they're setting examples just as humans, right?
Absolutely.
On how to connect. I'm sorry, teachers, but, you know. We can tell. It's like that in any workplace. You can tell who really wants to be there and who is just there to, like, go through the to-do list. You can tell, you can feel it. Okay, the Spring Grove, you talked about the issue of attracting and retaining teachers with your community and in your events, an issue that is, you know, dominating education conversations, attracting and retaining teachers. Many school districts in our state entering, you know, the school year with hundreds of unfilled teaching positions. It hurts my heart to have to say that. And as a rural community there in Spring Grove, you face even more increased challenges with this. Talk about the conversations about retaining and attracting teachers, Luke, and some of the work you're doing to address this.
I think he said it in a nutshell, right? Everything's about relationships, man. From behavior to culture to staff wellness, everything's about relationships and positive relationships. So I think that's what we center ourselves on. We've also done, you know, last year, school board kind of made for us, a historic investment in wages, and we participate in area college student teacher days where we interview people and try to interview student teachers. That gives them practice, but we also try to attract them to our district, and we connect with the universities around us for candidates and things like that. But I think for us, it boils down to many of the things you talked about, and even the attracting teacher conversation came up that night, I think, on the question, what is the adult perception of students, right? Because then it got into kind of that, oh, so disrespectful. When we have more time, I have another story for you about that, about a person I toured around the building, an adult, and he was telling me what they used to do in their day, and I was like, oh my goodness, you don't do that. They would never do that anymore. But anyway, the other thing we try to involve is kind of that sense of community, like I talked about right away. And maybe Ellie wants to talk more about that. We involve kids on the interview teams right away so that you can feel...
Hold up. Students get to sit in on the interviews with potential teachers?
Yes, I did get to do that, and it was awesome. We lost our choir director last year, so we were... Well, she didn't die. She just... Sorry.
I got that.
I made it sound like she died. She didn't die. She's fine.
She left the building.
She left.
That's what I was saying.
School.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Okay. But we were interviewing new choir directors, and it was like a whole struggle. We couldn't find choir directors to apply. We had this application thing all summer, and we had 0 applicants by the time of school starting. So we had an interim kind of guy come and do it for the first semester, and then when second semester started, we resourced to college students that were just graduating with choir degrees. And
let me ask you, why was that role so important? That people love having time to sing?
I know, yeah. Our choir, so our high school is about 115 maybe students.
Small.
And our choir is 75. So
All right.
we have a
So y'all
very,
can sing over there in Spring Grove.
yeah, I'd say so. And it's everyone like enjoys it. Our old choir director was awesome, so she definitely like drew people in. And yeah, we took a lot of pride in our choir program, so it was very important to us to keep this going. And but yeah, we had to source out to recent graduates. And I got to be on the interview team. We had one applicant, so that was cool. She got the job, so go her.
But tell me, you're sitting in the interview, were you looking at things like eye contact and
Yes.
her energy?
Yeah, and I mean, I really liked her, so that was awesome, because if I didn't, I think that would have been problematic. But yeah, it was really cool. We kind of had a meeting, all of the students. He picked like 2 students from each section that were like section leaders to do the interview. Yeah.
Well, look, you're the principal. I imagine isn't that your job to hire people? Why do you have the students sitting there on the interview?
Because if they don't get along with the students, it creates a very strained environment, and they're not there to teach me, they're there to teach them, and the students are the ones interacting with them day to day.
Good
so
answer.
Better be something that they can deal with.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have any more questions, but this is the deal. You get to ask questions now, right? Right? We want to do our question and answer portion of the program because I want to keep you all on your schedule because I know you have another session to get to. Any instructions on how we want to do questions and answers? Oh, I'm going to give you the microphone. You can tell. Oh, okay. The students are going to walk around. We have some students. Yep, up on your feet. You're going to walk around. They have microphones. And so to our audience members, our educators who are here, any questions you have for our panelists? We have students and teachers and administrators here. So think about questions in the next couple of minutes that we want to get to. Okay. We'll take a moment to identify who would like to ask a couple of questions.
If you have a question.
That was great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was
Great job to our panel, by the way.
Question over here?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, this one. Anybody got a question for them?
All right.
Okay, an update? Do we have someone?
Yeah, we have a question in the back here.
Okay, if I can have everyone be quiet again, whatever the teacher speak is for like lower your voices. All right, go ahead. We have a question from the audience. Go right ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nisha. I'm from the organization Good Trouble in Minnesota. I want to know, Lakota specifically, you guys mentioned having the perception of like being bad students or students are rowdy or things like that. A lot of times in student-centered learning, project-based learning, when we're trying to get the youth to believe in themselves, it's hard because for years, like for instance, I work with some 9th graders. For 8+ years, they've experienced people telling them, you're bad, you don't know how to learn, ADHD, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, you know? What do you think could be like a universal first step for the student to change their perspective, lose that mindset to say, no, I just need a different way to learn. I just need a different approach. How do we get them to think that way?
Marcel, let's hear from you, yeah?
Yeah, okay. From what I think as a student myself, I think coming into 9th grade, it took a lot for me to get over the idea of titles. I think that a lot of students struggle because they're giving a title or they're...
You mean like a diagnosis or a title or
just
a
title,
label?
Like you're a 9th grader. That's all you can be. And that is like a really big problem that I see among every single school. Students focus a lot on a title that they're given and that can drive them to change themselves, to put these own ideas and thoughts into their mind that, yeah, maybe I am a bad student. And that can have a lot of effect on your mentality and how you go about yourself on the day. And I think that a way that we can have more students open up and open up to teachers, mentors, whatever you want to say, is stop giving everyone a title. I think that's the biggest problem within students being bad. The title can change everything, your entire view of school, and that can make your high school life very bad.
Marlon, you're a social studies teacher there at Lakota Tech. How do you address self-perception if a student has a negative self-image?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I think we also have a hard time attracting teachers. We're very remote. So we understand what it looks like to be understaffed. And what I see as a native teacher, I'm very impressed by the non-natives that come into our community. We have a big cohort of Filipino teachers that come in. And I'm just looking at these guys, and they're very successful. And I think it falls down to is just, we hit on it earlier, building relationships. But even, I think from my perspective, I have to have those tough conversations with students sometimes. And even to the point where I have to, I'll just apologize to my student if I'm too hard with them. And that really, I could see they appreciate the genuineness, but I think when it comes down to it, a lot of kids want that structure and they want someone to come down on them. And I have to be that teacher sometimes. I don't teach freshmen anymore, but like last year, that's what it looked like a lot of time, is just really pushing them and trying to give them organization. And they resist, but those are the students I have the best relationship with, as the kids that I have butted heads with, and then we kind of knock that door down and we have that relationship afterwards. Great question.
Any other questions from the audience? And can you state your name and what kind of work you do? Go right ahead. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Zara Zanussi, and I work with Elevate Teaching, all about recruiting more teachers of color, and so really trying to change the messaging around the teaching profession. And so assuming, since you're all here and the stories you've shared, thank you so much to the students, are any of you considering going into education? And if not, what would change your perception of the teaching profession? Because a lot of students, I think they haven't had a good experience, so why would they want to continue that path? But it seems like, based off of what you said today, that you all have.
Sky, you're going to take that one first?
Honestly, I truly don't know. The choices of my future have changed a lot throughout the years. Most definitely, I want to be a writer, and if I'm going to be a teacher, I'm going to be an English teacher because I love writing. But there's a lot of mixed feelings about it, because I feel as if a lot of teachers, their mental health from their students can infect theirs as well, which how bad mine has been in the past, I don't think I can handle that.
Pass the mic down. Marcel?
I've thought about teaching for a while, before law and public safety and becoming a CNA. I thought about teaching. I wanted to be a reading teacher also. I really like reading. I really like poetry also. I think I do language arts, ELA. I like poetry, and I think for becoming a teacher, for me, I thought a lot about how I see myself after a year or 5 years in teaching, if I would still be the same teacher that I thought I would be. And I kind of ultimately decided that if I ever started teaching, that I think my opinions would change over time and I wouldn't really fit out well to be a teacher. So that's why I kind of changed my pathway.
Well, we'll see. You've got time. Elliot, you're a high school senior. What are you thinking career-wise? Do you see teaching in your future?
Yes. Yeah, I actually, I have a lot of options, but teaching, I do want to get my teaching license. This year, first semester, I was given a really awesome opportunity to, I got to have a 120-minute block to teach sixth graders. I was directing their sixth grade play. And I had so much fun with it, and I feel like when I think about, I don't know if I would want to be a high school teacher. I would probably more want to do middle school. But I think about the teachers that I've had that have really inspired me. driven me, and that I love them to death, and I think about graduating, and I think about how much I'm gonna miss them. And I also think about the connection that I have with these sixth graders. Like, they came to I had my final theater performance, and I had this gang of sixth grade girls just sobbing. They're like, "We're gonna miss you so much." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you guys, I can't believe this." And I just think about having that relationship with students that I crave so much from my own teachers. And I just want to be able to really fulfill that for them as well. So,
Thank you, Ellie.
Yeah.
We wish you well. We have time for one more question from the audience.
We have
Go
a
right
question
ahead.
over here.
Your name, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Josh Nadzim, and I'm with KnowledgeWorks. We work with K through 12 education across the country to implement and support personalized competency-based learning. So my question is for the educators. What is something you would say is giving you hope about this generation and the next generation? I know there's lots of themes about, kids these days, and as she was saying, there's so much negativity. But as we start to see Gen Z really come into the world, and I think the oldest Gen Alpha is like 12. So as these generations are coming, is there anything you're seeing that's really giving you a lot of hope that sets them apart from previous generations?
Great question. Luke, we'll start with you. You're principal there at Spring Grove School. What gives you hope?
I think you've heard answers from kids up on the stage who are leaders who give you hope, and just seeing their example, that would be one. But for kids in the room, let me be the first to tell you, I'm one of the people that's really sick of hearing the kids these days comment. Because I remember the kids when I was a kid in high school, and I have heard stories of my dad when he was in high school. And you guys are so much better than kids in the past were. So just keep that in mind. Part of it's probably you can't get away with anything because everything's on a camera, right? But I think hope just that for me personally, I think kids are really having thoughtful experiences and thoughtful planning about their futures post-high school more today than probably even when I was in school, which, believe it or not, wasn't that long ago.
Okay, Marlon, you're a social studies teacher. What gives you hope?
Yes, I was just in a previous workshop with the middle school students from South Dakota, and just working with these students every day, I'm reminded every day how amazing these students are. There was a gentleman that I saw back there by the elevator, but last year he said, a lot of times we just got to give students directions and just get out of their way, and I've seen that time and time again at my high school. Just say, here's what you guys need to do, and they grab the microphone or they grab whatever the event is and they run with it, and I'm amazed with that. And I think looking back on our community event, all the adults, I think all of us could agree there's a lot more buy-in if our students are running things. So I'm an advocate for just, hey guys, this is what we're going to do. How do you want to address it? And every single time they knock the ball out of the park, and I'm just blown away by the youth.
And Kariana, you're the director at a charter school in Brooklyn Park. What gives you hope?
I would agree. They're constantly surprising me what they're capable of doing and the ideas they come up with. What really gives me hope is how much the students support each other and are willing to talk about their issues with each other. And I don't feel like this, like I remember being in school and there was all those cliques and there was just really these separate groups. And while y'all have your friends, I feel like there's a lot more of like accepting of others and their differences and being proud of their differences. And that's what's given me hope that maybe, yeah, sometimes bad things happen. They don't make the best decisions, but that's part of being a kid. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to have mistakes, but it's what you do after those mistakes, how you support people with those mistakes. And I'm really proud to see kids doing that.
Well, that brings our panel to a close. I want to thank our panelists again. We've been hearing from Sage Academy in Brooklyn Park. We have Director Kariana Luna and ninth grade student Sky Lang. Thank you for for what you shared with us today. From Lakota Tech High School in Pine Ridge, South Dakota, thank you for traveling here to the Twin Cities. Social Studies teacher and Student Council lead, Marlon Kingi, and 10th grader, Marcel Swallow. Thank you for being here today. And from Spring Grove High School, or Spring Grove School, I should say, pre-K through 12, in Spring Grove, Minnesota, we have Principal Luke Chelland and Senior Ellie Halverson, perhaps a future teacher. Thank you for your contributions today, and thank you to our audience.